You're listening to a Mamamia podcast.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on.
Hello, Outlouders. It is Jessie here, and you might remember a few months ago I talked about travelling with a baby, the nightmare long-haul flight back from Europe that nearly destroyed me. You may also know that I co-host another podcast with my twin sister Clare. She has a little baby of her own, Matilda. It is called The Baby Bubble. And in season 2 of The Baby Bubble, what we've been doing is interviewing comedians, funny people about their experiences with babies. Because if there is one thing we have learned, it is that babies, toddlers, kids can be very, very funny. This episode that you're about to hear is a very chaotic account of travelling with a baby. Comedian Sami Shah has done it and lived to tell the tale, and it is a very, very funny tale. If you want more episodes of The Baby Bubble, then you are in luck. There are 2 full seasons ready and waiting for you. We will pop a link to listen in the show notes. Enjoy.
Everything's insane. The whole world is hyper. You're hyper. You haven't slept at all. Your mind is just running nonstop. I've never done cocaine. I just want to make that clear. I know I'm advocating it, but it is not different from that. Look, it is hell. There's no denying it. That first month particularly is brutal. I think I have scoliosis from that first month. Like just bouncing her on a rubber ball all night and everything. And if you get through it at the end of it with the child still alive and both of you still relatively intact, that's fine.
The Baby Bubble with Clare and Jessie Stevens. It's definitely not a parenting advice podcast.
Clare, I found this video series that we posted on Instagram where we weighed up the pros and cons of having a baby. It was about 5.5 years ago.
Okay.
And you and I had a chat about what it would be like to have a baby.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
And I totally forgot about what I thought it would be like.
Yeah. We were really candid about what we thought it would be like. So
okay.
what I wanted to do was play you this audio that I found.
We can compare.
I want you to tell me whether it's what you expected, whether we were naive, idealistic, or whether it's even better than what we thought. Okay, I'm going to play it to you.
So Claire and I were just talking about reasons to have a baby. Claire, what are some of your...
Something to cuddle.
Yeah?
Something to sniff.
Yeah.
I've never liked my stomach.
So I feel like I'll quite like it when it's pregnant because there'll be something in it to
Like
stretch
an
it.
excuse as well.
Yeah, to just like, that's why my stomach looks like that. But I also think that I just want a day off work. Do you like just a holiday?
Yeah, just little 6 months.
Cheeky 6 months.
The big one that came out of that for me
Yeah.
was that I just wanted to spend a lot of days in cafes.
You go to cafes a lot
I
with
spend a
Luna.
lot of time in cafes.
And
And it
Luna's-
is actually the highlight.
Luna's a good cafe baby.
Mummy and baby like to brunch.
Yes.
I've trained her. We like our brunch. We go along. She brings a book. I might get some work done or whatever. I have a coffee. She has her milk. It's absolutely the highlight of parenting.
Matilda,
She's not a brunch.
She comes.
She's more Friday night cocktails.
Yeah, no, genuinely, she comes to Friday night cocktails and she has her full dinner. So we put on her smock, we feed her at first course, her second course, her third course.
And what's great
cetera.
there is that the workers clean up the dinner.
Yeah.
not you.
Yeah. Whereas cafes, she's a bit like, I got to wiggle. How am I going to wiggle? I will say the idea that it's a day off and just a bit of a holiday.
You're not at work.
You're not at work. And I didn't kind of have like proper mat leave, but I really liked that period. However, I do have this realization that I'm never going to have a day off ever again.
This is a problem. Yeah.
Because it's like,
I don't know what we thought.
Matilda was sick the other day and I'm like, oh, do I stay home with sick baby or do I go to work? And I'm like, either way, I'm working.
Yeah, in fact, the going to the office is easier.
Yeah.
And it's like you're not going to have the sick day where you lay in bed and you watch the TV show. I've tried. It
I
can't be done.
Same. I try to pat her and be like, we're just sleeping, babe.
Yeah.
We're
and
just
they're
sleeping today.
Absolutely not. How about in terms of sniffing something to cuddle?
Absolutely cuddles.
Having something to cuddle after a bad day, 10 out of 10.
And she's getting quite koala vibes,
Yeah,
like really
they start
clinging,
to cuddle you back.
really clinging. Her smell changes. And the other day she had sardines for the first time.
Yeah, that was an interesting
and
choice.
I was like, we are going to have a deep clean.
I'm going to throw this one out and get a new one. 'Cause that is not the baby smell.
Yeah.
It smells like sardines.
Yes. Our guest this week is Sami Shah, writer, comedian, podcaster, and father to 2 girls. You'll recognise Sami as previously co-hosting ABC Radio Melbourne Breakfast, as well as across lots of other ABC projects, from his stand-up comedy and also his podcast, News Weekly, poking some gentle fun at the Australian news of the week, kind of like what we do to babies on this podcast. He's with us for the Baby Bubble this week. Firstly, give us a lay of the land. You have 2 girls. How old are they now and what are their vibes?
Very different vibes, because the older one is 15 years old and the younger one is 1 year, 4 months old. That's at this point. So they're vastly different in their experiences and what they are putting me through individually. The wonderful thing is they adore each other. They completely love each other.
Aww.
Totally. And that's so cute because, especially the younger one, the moment her elder sister walks into the house is just the best moment of the day and all that. And with the elder sister now, we basically have free babysitting.
Yes.
That's kind of helps us out a decent amount. So not as much as I'd prefer, but whatever. It's a work in progress. And there is that. They're very different in terms of where they are in their lives. With a 15-year-old, I'm at her school recitals and we're discussing whatever, new book she's reading. And with the 1-year-old, it's completely still changing nappies and being yelled at because I didn't give her the right vegetable at the right speed that she demanded.
Yeah.
I like your family planning choice there. I think that's a
strategy.
good hack.
I like the fact that you're assuming that there was a plan, as opposed to just like divorces and weird life choices, and all of a sudden, you're like, well, I guess this is what's happening.
The built-in babysitter, I am loving it.
I know.
Yeah. In retrospect, it was a good idea.
Yes, you nailed it. You recently embarked on international travel, I hear.
Mhm.
What were your plans? Where were you going? What was the trip?
So basically, it was interesting because my partner, Kylie, was traveling. So she had to go for some work to America and the UK. And so she was there for 3 weeks. So for 3 weeks, I was solo parenting. And I had, 1-year-old and the 15-year-old at the same time, largely. Although the 15-year-old went back and forth to her mom's place and mine. And that was great. Like, we had gone to a nice schedule and a rhythm and everything. But looming ahead of us was a flight to London. So Melbourne to London with me, the 1-year-old and the 15-year-old, to meet Kylie in London. And that thing that happens where everyone's like, oh, it's going to be hell. It's going to be hell.
Yeah.
You're going to go through hell. It's going to be hell. And I was like, yeah, probably. Like, the thing is, I've flown before. When my 15-year-old was 3 years old, we flew alone. And that was not so bad. With a 3-year-old, it's okay. And I remember like distinct moments of like, she was sitting on the chair on the plane and watching the screen and she was happy, just eating snacks. And the only real problem was Dubai airport, where I needed to take her to the toilet because she wanted to go to the toilet. And I can't go into the women's toilet,
yes.
obviously. And their family toilets in most of the Middle East and stuff are for women only. No men aren't allowed in. So I'm like, as a dad traveling, the idea that men can take care of their children is very new to large parts of the world. And so I walked into the men's toilet and I yelled, everyone get out. And it was just like 10 Arab men looking confused until I yelled at them. And then they all left. And then my daughter went to the toilet while they all waited outside. So I remember that being the only challenge. So with Leah, at that point, she was 1 year and I think 2 months old. Basically, I was like, well, I have my 15-year-old to help me. No problem. We look at our seat allocations and they've put my 15-year-old on the seat behind me. And so she gets in. She's like, look, I can't do anything. She puts noise-cancelling headphones on. She checks out. And then it was just like from Melbourne to Kuala Lumpur, which is, I think, that's 8 hours. That was hell. Because she didn't sleep. She just stayed in the bassinet, this stupid bassinet that they give you.
It doesn't fit them. It doesn't fit them.
It doesn't fit any child. It's made too small for every child in the history of, like, unless you have a preemie, I don't know who's fitting that.
I know.
Can I curse on this?
Yes.
Put on that fucking bassinet bullshit. And then they put it there. And so what we did was, it was handy for one thing I realized. It's just handy for putting junk in there.
Yeah.
All her toys, everything else, that the snacks and everything just went in there. She was running around at my feet.
Oh.
But then they also put, and here's the thing, like, I have no sympathy for people who complain about children on planes because, sometimes you have people who are like, oh my God, the baby's crying. Well, buy a fucking private jet.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, shut up. No one gives a shit. You're not running a private business from the plane. No one cares if you had a miserable flight. But if you're going to get those bulkhead seats where they put bassinets, don't get them if you don't have kids.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Amen. And then sit there and be like,
Yeah, don't judge me because you're 21 years old, so your brain is still mushy. And you think you deserve a better life. You're 21. You deserve to be strapped to the outside of the plane in the best of circumstances anyway. And just sitting there humping and huffing every time my daughter moves. I wanted to elbow the guy in the throat at one point.
yeah.
She picked up my phone and just tossed it, my daughter.
Yeah.
And it went and hit him in the shins. And I didn't feel that bad, but I had to pretend like I felt bad. So I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And he's like, oh my God, my shin, it hurts so bad. And a part of me is like, also like, toughen up, mate. Like, calm down. It's a 1-year-old through the phone. How hard can it be? And then she picked up the phone and threw it in between my legs. And it hit me in the balls and I doubled over. I was like, this is agony. Like these phones are rock hard. And it really hurt bad. So yeah, so that time was the only time. That and the one time I put her in the bassinet. I pop her into the bassinet because I'm like, I just need a break. I need 1 second. And she just goes, okay, I don't want to be in here. So she just jumps head first out of the bassinet and I grab her inches from the ground. And yeah, so that was hard. I remember she didn't sleep the day leading up to the flight.
Oh, great.
Then the flight, she didn't sleep at all. So at this point, she's been up for 24 hours. I don't know why. I don't know how she's doing it. We land in Kuala Lumpur airport, and the smartest thing I've ever done, probably the most intelligent decision I've made in my entire life, was you break journey. You just break journey. We stopped in Kuala Lumpur for a day.
Okay. Because that's a risk. You're playing with fire. Yeah. But sometimes
it was amazing. We checked into a nice, because hotels there are cheap. We checked into a nice hotel and we get to the hotel and I'm like, she'll sleep. Now it's like, I think midnight at this point in KL. I'm like, she's going to finally sleep. Of course she's going to sleep. And in my head, I'm like, you know what? I'll let her sleep as long as she wants. If she sleeps till 10 in the morning, let her sleep in. It's fine. 2 a.m. I hear, hello. And I was like, are you kidding me? How are you awake? And then she was up. So in Kuala Lumpur, we then spent the next 24 hours wide awake. But she was happy. We went to KLCC, the towers, and we did sightseeing and ate food. And she was happy and thrilled. And then you get on the flight to London, which is, I think, a 13-hour flight.
Yep.
And she passed out on my shoulder as the plane was taking off, but then wouldn't move and wouldn't let me move because if I moved, she'd wake up. So I just got trapped. You know, in that situation where one leg is numb, you're completely gone. The other leg is actually in agony because somehow you're pinching it in the wrong way. Yep. And you're just stuck. And you're like, all right, I guess I'll pee myself here. It's no big deal. And so that was the flight to London. But the thing is, when I did it, and everything goes wrong. Everything goes wrong. We went to Kuala Lumpur, we reached KL. I stand outside for my pram, which, you check in your pram. And I was like, oh, can I have it back now? And they're like, oh, no, we sent it to oversized luggage area, which is in a different hangar. We have to get a bus to go. But why? Why did you do this to me? Why?
That happened to us. I kept waiting for the baggage carousel and I was like, everything's out here. And then I'm like, oh, oversized. It's not that oversized. It's the size of a suitcase.
And the person with it has a child. Why would you do that to them? And then even when we got to the hotel, I'm standing in line to check into the hotel. And there's a woman in front of me who's just taking the slowest check-in process ever. It's always the one person who's the slowest will be in front of you when you are in a rush. She just took ages until finally at one point, the woman behind her could see me losing my mind just through my eyes. And she called someone to help me. Little things like that. But I will say, after having done it, then flying back with my partner and all of us together was a breeze.
Really?
Because once you do it alone, you're like, whatever. You know, there's 2 of us. We can take shifts now. It's a piece of cake. There's no problem here at all. And now I also feel my partner's like, oh, I got some work thing. I'm like, go for it. I'll travel with Leah alone because I've done it now.
Yep.
How hard can it be?
Yep. That's as hard as it's ever going to get. I did the Europe thing about the same age and I said this competes with Labour for the hardest thing I've ever done.
I'm going to quote you to my partner on that because I don't dare say that without sources to back me up.
You should. I want to ask you about packing, because you had to do all the packing on your own. And packing for her would have just been a lot.
Well, there was this moment because my partner 3 weeks before packed the suitcase for Leah, which I was very insulted by. Because I was like, are you saying that I can't do the packing? Like, I can do it. And she's like, no, what if you mess it up? I'm like, look, I did raise the older one. Or, I have done this before. I was very offended that she thought I couldn't pack on my own. But yes, so a large part of the packing was already done for me. That decision and power was taken away from me, but it's fine. It's fine. I didn't forget anything. I just want to point that out.
Oh.
Everyone thought I'd forget shit. I didn't forget anything. The child is still alive.
Yes.
She was fed. I just didn't want people to come over and say, oh, she looks like she's lost weight. Because then they're like, oh, you're not feeding the child properly, right?
Yeah.
I stuffed her
Yeah.
just 7 meals a day, just anything that could get her fat. And so that when Kylie saw her after 3 weeks, Kylie's like, she's put on so much weight. I'm like, yeah. So like that was my thing. But I didn't get to do the packing. I'm still a bit offended and hurt by that.
What was the most surprising thing? Like once you're actually in London and you're traveling with a baby, what was the most surprising thing to you?
I come from Pakistan, which is a third world country. And I thought Australia's a first world country. London's a first world country. Oh, London's a 1.5. They're not where we are way ahead. You realize when you visit Europe, you're like, oh, there's first world and then there's first world. Like, you can go anywhere in Australia and there's the ramps for the prams and the elevators to replace any stairs. And we take these considerations into account. Over there, the subway system. And I know it was built in pre-World War I and whatever. What the hell did you take all the money from India from if you can't upgrade your goddamn subways? There's no place to go. You're carrying this goddamn pram up and down stairs.
Yes.
And there's no one to help you because Londoners are notoriously rude. And so thank God my 15-year-old was with me because she would then take Leah out and carry her up and down the stairs. And I'd be lugging this giant pram the whole time. And it's not just me, it's other mums and dads doing the same thing. And then they're like, oh, this subway station has an elevator, but then to get the elevator is such a long journey. And you're like, what do disabled people do?
Yes.
Like, what do people in wheelchairs do?
Yeah.
Like, it was shocking to me. And then, for example, at one point she ate a snack. She ate half of the banana and gave me the rest. And I have to look for a bin. There's no bins. All of London, there are no fucking bins in the whole of I don't know what. They just throw shit like in the 1980s. Like they're just throwing things on the floor and walking off. And that's what happened. In the end, there was a mountain of rubbish under one light post. And I just carefully placed my banana peel over there, being like, what, am I going to get a shot for this? What? No one cares. I was really amazed at how hard it is to have a child there compared to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard that from a lot of friends who came back and said London is hostile to children, was how they described it, especially the public transport. That was the big one that I heard.
That was a huge one for me. It's not as bad as parts of Europe. I know, I have friends in Spain who told me that people just blow cigarette smoke onto your baby's face there. It's just no one cares there. Everyone's just smoking all the time. And even London, I was surprised by how many people still smoke. The NHS is falling apart. Maybe take better care of your lungs. But I don't understand their choices. But yeah, I was quite shocked. It's one of those things where I live in Melbourne, which is notoriously a hipster city. But I haven't smelled cigarette smoke in my face in years. And to have that and then be like, but my baby's right here as well. What are you doing? I was quite taken aback. Yeah.
Your souvenir is a bit of the emphysema.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And your muscles are built up anyway from carrying the pram everywhere. So you have good cardio.
Yes, you're built from carrying 9 kilos of solid baby constantly.
Yeah.
And then you've also bulked that baby, so she's probably weighing about 25 kilos.
Yeah, that was on me, to be fair. That was entirely my fault. Yeah. I was carb loading her before we left, yeah.
Can you give us a 10-second play-by-play of the chaos of your morning before you got here?
So the 15-year-old's now self-sufficient, so that's largely good. I still have to check things as your room clean and stuff like that, and have you had breakfast. But largely, she can keep herself alive. So that's
good.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my main concern. As long as social services doesn't have any questions, I'm fine. So we take turns every morning on who gets up with Leah because she wakes up usually between 6:30 and 7 a.m. I don't know. She has stuff to do, I guess. She's working with the New York time zone and she's got meetings over there. I don't don't understand. This morning was my turn. Like 6:25, she woke up. And you just hear like, hi. And you're like, God damn it.
Oh no,
damn my
it's starting.
life. Yeah. And then you think of like, how can I convince my partner just do a double shift? Like take today as what lie can I come up with? Oh I had a horrible night of dreams. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, it's fine. So then you take her out. For some reason, even though we've changed her nappy on the same changing table since the day she was born, treats it like it is a trauma experience that she's now undergoing for the first time ever and is shocked and appalled that you're subjecting her to this. So, 6:30 in the morning, she's screaming. And she's discovered recently that not only can she scream, but she can shriek.
Yeah,
it's a new level of screaming, and it's wonderful. It's so invigorating to hear just a bloody murder being conducted.
Great way to start the day.
So that, and then I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever, because I'm still asleep. And so I'm like changing her nappy and all of that. Then after that, it's breakfast. So first thing is I pop her into her high chair, lock her in place so I can move around freely. I chug a coffee, and then it's, whatever breakfast she's going to reject the first three. So today she rejected the Weetabix. She rejected the cream cheese on toast. Then she had cherry tomatoes. Why not? Then she said yes to the Weetabix after that. And then yes to the cream cheese sandwich. And then she had blueberries. So, it was a good, well-proportioned breakfast, I suppose. And by that point, it's like 7:30. So my 15-year-old is now down as well. So they're talking to each other, which lets me have another coffee. And then I discreetly go into the bathroom back in our bedroom where my partner is sleeping, by which I mean I do it in a way that will guarantee to wake her up so that she can get up.
Get up and
I
do
can
it.
go, oh, you woke up. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for you to wake up. Anyway, can you take her now? Because I need to go to the bathroom. And so then she's forced to take over while I go in for a shower and stuff. And then, so that's basically every morning.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's my husband has started just opening the blinds. And I'm like,
oh really? That's a bold move.
Yeah, we'll keep those closed actually. While Mummy gets a little bit of
No,
sleep.
I don't have the courage to do that, because that is openly declaring war, I think.
Yeah.
That is, there's no subtlety. I did that once like a few days ago. I switched on the light because I was like, well, I need to get something, like that kind of a thing. Like not even passive aggressive, just aggressive. And then afterwards I was like, wow, that was a dick move on my part. Like that was just purely, I was at the end of my tether. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for your time today. It has
my
been
pleasure.
Such a lovely chat. Thank you so much.
Crap advice.
It's time for our dilemma. Claire, this is perhaps the thorniest of all dilemmas. Hi, ladies. I have a really awkward predicament for you today, and I'm totally stuck. My best friend fell pregnant a few months after me, and we were so excited. We've been close since kindergarten, and we couldn't believe we were having 2 girls. We planned their friendship and how our maternity leave would align. But there's just one problem. Just tell me that those 2 women didn't just plan to be at a cafe for 6 months. I mean, right.
Hard relate.
This is her problem, Claire. I don't like her baby. I don't know how to explain it. I just get a weird vibe. Oh. I'm not a super clucky person. I adore my baby, but otherwise I'm not fussed. This baby is quite slobbery and always sticky. I like the details. To be honest, and she just gives me the ick. So brutal. Sometimes she thrusts her baby onto me and I don't want to hold her. I spend enough time holding a baby. What should I do?
Okay, well, I've got a few ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, Jessie, is this a passive-aggressive way of telling me
No.
that Matilda's sticky?
Matilda is sticky, and in fact, she's actually quite slobbery. It's to do with teething. But I love Matilda like my own, and I did not write this. This was written in by a listener who wanted some bad advice.
All right, well, I have one word and one word only. Excommunicado.
Oh.
Excommunicate. It's done. It's done.
The friend and her baby, or just the baby?
Friend and baby.
Oh, wow.
That's one approach.
Okay. Well, okay, on that.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on. I also have, I don't know, can you make it cute? Because if it's sticky, can you wipe it down?
Can you wipe it down?
If it's slobbery, can you ask it to not be? Maybe buy a headband or some silly shoes. Shoes help with cuteness levels.
That's true. Like a few bows or something, and just if you give it a little bib for its slobberiness. The slobberiness might be a moment in time.
Yeah, and I guess my other thing would be if you don't want to go full excommunicado, you're going to have to talk to your baby and work out how to bully it.
Yeah, right.
So you say, honey, look at it. Look at it. That's what we bully. Like Luna does to Matilda.
Yeah, she does. Luna does bully Matilda. It's not my fault, but there's also nothing I can do. I would say resort to year 8. That's my mantra. And by that I mean, let's say the baby's name is Gretel. You say to your friend, ugh, is Gretel coming?
Oh, wow. And she's like, that's my baby.
And then you say, do you even like Gretel? Things like that.
Start
that happened to us
shit.
in year 8. And then remember, we were at a sleepover in year 8 and we had this friend she was just a bitch. And she would always start a game that was like, everyone go around and say something positive and negative. Like we'll start with Claire.
A good thing and a bad thing.
A good thing and a bad thing. And everyone would be like, oh, bad thing, you're annoying. Good thing. And then everyone would get stuck.
Yeah.
And then they'd go over to Lauren over here. And they'd go, good thing, you're really pretty. Bad thing, I can't think of anything.
Yeah. And I'd be like, I'm going to go flush my head in the toilet.
Yes. I think we play that game with Gretel.
Yeah.
So it gets to Gretel. And you're like, don't like your face, easy. And then positive, ponder until you move on.
Yeah, nothing.
Here's another idea. Start a WhatsApp group with that Gretel.
And call it Not
Gretel. And lastly.
And include your baby in it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Or hang your baby out to dry. And by that I mean you meet up, right? You're going out to dinner. It's you, your baby, friend and Gretel. And it's all about who you sit next to.
Yeah.
So sit with your friend, that's fine. Get Gretel and your baby down the other end, and your baby has to talk to Gretel. And you don't have to talk to Gretel, you don't have to look at her, you don't have to hold her. Just siphon them at the end of the table.
And your baby's like, Mom, I don't like it. And you're like, shut up, we have to be nice to people who are different. Poor Gretel. Poor Gretel.
She does sound fine.
I'm sure she's lovely.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Baby Bubble and didn't find anything remotely helpful. Don't start a WhatsApp group without your friend's baby in it.
Oh, yeah.
This season, we've asked a bunch of comedians to join us in The Baby Bubble to debrief about the funniest thing we've ever done, which is parenting. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And while you're already in the business of tapping your screen, give us a rating and a review too. The Baby Bubble is produced by Taylah Strano with audio production by Tegan Sadler. We'll see you next week.
Bye.